Hello, and welcome to another meeting of the Geek Cabal. Today's topic is Ahsoka Episode 4. And we just ended up watching this just about, 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, probably about 30 minutes ago.
So just getting our initial thoughts on that. And kind of right off the bat, my very first one is Episodes 3 and 4 should have just been one episode.
Yeah.
Because, and I get it, like in an episodic nature, you're going to have one episode lead into the other, but both of them were fairly short.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of having like an hour-long episode, they broke it up into two 30-minute episodes, and to me, both of them on their own felt incomplete. Versus really thinking about it, if you put them together, yeah, you would have still had the negatives of both, where the kind of drug the plot along a little bit. But they could have probably trimmed it down then, and then made it a 45-minute episode in one.
Yeah. I think the only real thing you'd really have to change is some of how episode 3 ends. Instead of ending it on how it obviously ends on like the cliffhanger. Oh, go find them. Rearrange that scene just a little bit, and then also when Hera is done talking to the council, just basically cut almost straight to her being like, "Screw that noise," and
Yeah.
I think those are really about the only two things you'd have to tweak them a little bit, and then you pretty well got it.
Well, yeah, because that whole scene with her, and again, we're spoilers at this point. Is
Yeah, if you're watching this for episode 4, like you're in for spoilers. Here it comes.
So, um, like the whole scene where she's just like, "Oh, what where Hera's like, "Oh, I can't, I don't have time to meet with these people." And all that. Like all of that was just not needed. All they had to do is be like, the council's not really, not made a decision yet, and she could just be like, "Oh, that's it, I'm out, done."
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I said, if they done it right, they could have combined those into one episode and then held through another episode in there. But I know why they didn't, because money. I mean,
Yeah.
They probably didn't spend as much and got extra episodes. They're like, oh, it's got 7 episodes in this,
7 or 8. Yeah.
and when you realize that half of them could have been combined into one episode in a decent format. Um, but I mean, again, I don't want to take anything from like the looks of the show. I mean, the looks of the show is still, looks great. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's pretty sad when it looks better than most of the sequel trilogy did, the entirety of it. Um, and putting on it. Um, yeah. Anyways, Owen, your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe it was short. Some of the fights dragged on longer than they maybe should have.
I don't know. I kind of thought the fights were, you know, I think a lot of times they drag on like the blaster fights way too long, and this one they just pretty much mowed down the people like they should.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, even Sabine, I think, is supposed to have enough skill to thoroughly go through and just take out just regular henchmen. Um, I do give them credit though for at least the one kind of surprise with Merrick, is that Merrick was obviously, I believe, a resurrected Inquisitor by.
Yeah, based on what happened whenever he died, he just kind of like poured out gas out of his form and collapsed, and even
the scream he let out was not a natural.
Yeah.
Like what you've seen anybody else getting hacked down by by a lightsaber to make.
It's usually the Wilhelm scream.
This sounded like it did remind me like the Night Sisters when they resurrected all the Night Sisters to fight the droid army, and when they would get chopped down, they would make some sort of like ghostly scream or whatever, and that's kind of what I got from that, and that's what I assumed it was. Can you stop yawning?
No.
Automatic action, Jim.
I know.
Can't be controlled.
Yeah, well, the youth of this generation. What can I say? Anyways, any other thoughts, Owen?
The name of the episode's ironic.
Oh, and
a little bit.
How would you explain it, Owen?
Well, The name of chapter 4, uh, the episode's named Fallen Jedi, which is ironic because at the end, Ahsoka falls off a cliff.
Now, I don't know if that's what they exactly mean, but I mean, I think there's multiple meanings because Balin is a fallen Jedi. Anakin, she meets Anakin, who's a fallen Jedi, who seems to be. I don't know if it's just a spirit or if it's just him out of time. Because it could actually be the Anakin before he turned to the dark side out of time.
Yeah, that's possible.
Um, because one of the, and I believe it was in Rebels, is one of the things with the whole the Nexus or whatever the points. I say the Nexus. That's the Star Trek. But the idea with that is, um, not only is that I believe that's how they got Ahsoka back, uh, but Vader wanted to use that to get Padme back. Even though I don't think Padme would have been real thrilled with his youngling mastering techniques.
Well, I mean, you just don't tell her everything.
Well, she liked this Tusken Raider slaughtering techniques.
Yeah, I know. She was all about that.
She might have forgiven him. I don't know. Well, decisions were made. It's in the past now.
Well, that I'm sorry, but that is the one thing of the prequels that just, I think if he had just said he had slaughtered them all and just kind of left it at that she would have been like, well, he was obviously distraught, you know. But I mean, to me, that makes me think that he actually went down and was like, oh, look, there's a baby in the crib here. Had to get his practice in for later.
Well, I mean, he might have.
Anyways, so back to the episode. So I think the villains actually did the one smart thing. Instead of saying, hey, look at these, here's some X-Wings coming to try to, intercept us. Let's power up our turbo lasers. Like, no, just, we've got the weight advantage here. Let's just hyperspace through them.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that their formation specifically was like inside the ring, like you said, you saw it coming a mile away that was what they were going to do. So,
well, yeah, I mean, you've got a giant ring coming at you, and your formation is a ring of fighters around a freighter that we established in an earlier episode. The ring's gigantic, so like look, it's just like they're going to fit right in the middle of this thing. Like, this is stupid. They should fan out and start firing to hit the ring.
But
I mean, I think their plan still would have gone into effect. They just would have smashed all of the X-wings if they'd done that.
Well, and the other thing is I'm not for sure that there would have been any sort of disturbance from them from them flying through. It's not like there would have been like, the only thing that would have been like maybe some solar winds that would have got rushed around the thing, but I don't think it would have.
Well, I'm assuming because the way it's always depicted when they're entering hyperspace. I mean, you see the stars, how they elongate. Yeah. That's them accelerating to near light speed in the instant before they actually go into hyperspace. So there's that moment that they're still in real space when they open a portal into hyperspace. I could see there being an effect of some kind if you're caught up in that and not ready for it.
Yeah, but they were like but they didn't enter hyperspace until they were like way over there. So.
Well, sure, but you know what I'm saying.
I know. I guess there would be something. I mean, it's the same thing for, noise in space. I mean, obviously most space battles should be completely silent.
Yeah, should be.
Besides hearing things hit your ship, you may, hear noises.
Well, that you should hear because it would hit the hull and then create a vibration inside where there's air.
Yes.
So that should cause noise. But
yeah, I mean, you may hear your own laser cans again as they cause vibrations into the hull, but I think the only movie that ever got that right in the Star Wars was Attack of the Clones with the seismic charges. But they only did, where they would go silent.
And then once the wave hit, you heard it, yeah.
Because it's vibrations moving through, but everything else is QPUs and space.
Yeah, like how it should be.
Except for the one used on the Sarlacc. That should have been noise through and through. They were in an atmosphere on that one. But no, given the title, I was hoping to learn just a little bit about Balon, especially since we know we're not going to get him past a certain point, or at least we assume we're not going to. and so far his apprentice isn't exactly like
Well,
seeming super knowledgeable on whatever on earth the plan is.
well, there is a way of besides doing a face swap of Ray Stevenson, and that would be have a moment where he gets his face horribly scarred and has to wear
Yeah,
some
I
sort of
mean,
covering.
there's precedent for that in Star Wars, so sure.
Well, yes, I mean Star Wars is the thing of dismemberment and disfiguration. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we got the Vader approach. We got Malik. I'm sure we got several others. Um, yeah, that would be a way to do it. Boy, we need to write that down and see if that's what comes to pass. If there is a season 2 of Ahsoka, given the rate that Disney's falling apart, there's no guarantees on the future on that one.
yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
from the latest news,
At the rate it's going, we might not make it all the way to the end of this series.
I'm seeing a lot of things getting pulled,
Yeah.
and and with that, I mean, all political things aside, I mean, at some point you have to understand that there were certain things that people enjoyed about Disney and Star Wars and Marvel and all of the shows, and it was a good story, not a
Yeah.
message. Nothing wrong with having a message in your story, but the story should come first, and that if you write competently enough, the message will be loud and clear, and you don't have to, you know, to force things onto people. You don't have to be so upfront with the message.
Well, many classic stories, had themes, morals, and if you think about it, technically, most stories have a message, no matter how simple they are. They may not be trying to tell it. They may be trying to, entertain you, but there is a message in there.
Well, I mean, I look at the reading that we had as as high schoolers. Owen, I don't know if you've gotten to it yet, but like reading like 1984, uh, To Kill a Mockingbird, and things like that, and they were there's messages behind all of it. I mean, very uh,
The one behind 1984 is very clear.
yes. But what I'm saying is that
Some people apparently haven't gotten it, but it's very clear.
but the story was what drove that plot, and I do leave at least Ahsoka, like the writing seems to be fairly competent. I mean, it's a little drawn out, but at the same time, though, I mean, I get it that you want to tell a story that's legitimate. 'Cause, I mean, in real life, people do have drawn out conversations. It's not like everything's got to be exciting. This and that.
Sure. I
Um,
mean, Tarantino's movies prove that, but by and large, there's a couple I'm not too keen on, but by and large, his conversations are interesting. You know, now for me, the major exception is the beginning of Death Proof. Like, I was glad whenever everyone in that movie died. Like, they were the most boring, inane, petty people imaginable. So whenever Kurt Russell hit them in their car and killed them in slow motion, it's like, thank God I don't have to listen to them ever again.
but I think there's an interesting story behind all the stuff in Ahsoka.
Also, minor connection, I believe Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in that movie as well.
Um, but no, I mean, maybe it's not in the best way of telling the story, but I mean, I think there's a good story there. I mean, there's a lot of intrigue. But then again, I saw that with the Force Awakens, which we saw where that led. Because after Force Awakens, I couldn't tell you how many conversations me and Bobby had about uh, Snoke and the possibilities of who Snoke was, and I mean, even got down to the first youngling that Anakin slayed, and
I was still really hoping for Porkins. I mean, maybe he bailed out.
and got 20 feet tall. And, like instead of going this way, he somehow slendered up and
Well, I
got.
mean, it was a hologram. Like, we saw how the Emperor appeared as a hologram before Vader and Empire. The Sith Lords are all about giant, imposing visions of themselves.
And I felt like the way that the Force Awakens told its story was very similar to the way that A New Hope told like if you really go down and look at New Hope's not really a great story. It's a good movie, but it's not a timely. I mean, it's not a full of substance story. It's
All right.
what?
I'll go along with that last part, but I just heard a whole like string of blasphemy right there.
Well, maybe it's because I didn't know. I'm trying to figure out the words to say for it because I'm saying it's a lot of by the books kind of stuff.
Well, yes, the original Star Wars trilogy in its entirety is almost by the book. It's literally someone read Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. Is like, wouldn't this be cool if this was in space with lasers and wizards?
Well, but I'm not saying that's not a bad thing.
Well, no, it's not a bad thing. Like, there's a reason why Joseph Campbell's like, hey, look, all these myths throughout history. Yeah, it's the same guy. Like, it's this, and this. And that's why they keep making movies about that. They keep making stories like that. I mean,
But it's
like Neo in the Matrix. That's the hero's journey. You know.
But I mean, but what I'm saying is, it also set up, and like I said, no, I mean, obviously, I have almost every version of the VHS copy of the original trilogy. Um, but what I'm saying is, like the Force Awakens, again, it built up. It had a lot of lore because obviously, people were like, what the hell is the Clone Wars? What the hell is, who the hell is Darth Vader? Why is he, this and that? Same thing with Force Awakens. You're like, okay, who is Snoke and where the hell did the First Order come from, and all of this stuff, and it led up all the story. And then the Last Jedi came out, and you're like, it didn't.
Did it subvert your expectations, Jim?
It didn't even further the plot. It just pretty much said fuel is something, and then it's like, I guess they're like, we need to have our Empire Strikes Back, but even in the Empire Strikes Back, they're not like, okay, we're gonna leave like 30 people here to start a. It's dumb. But what I'm trying to get at is that I think Ahsoka's got the potential to tell a really great story and have a possible sequel. But hell, I mean, the way, like you said, the way things are going, I don't imagine any of these shows are going to get any more sequels.
Well, I mean, we'll see, but
because right now, I mean, everything's on the pause block to have anything released.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think overall, I've had time to listen to a lot of criticisms of the last 3 episodes, and I think this one did answer some of those criticisms. Obviously, it didn't intentionally do so because sure these episodes were filmed like 6 months to a year ago or longer. Uh, but one of them was the fact that why did Hera have to go consult like she's a general? Like, why would she just like, all right, guys, we're going. Like, we have enemy activity. We know we do. They literally shot at us and tried to kill us back in that room. They're all like, Empire forever. Like, we know they were sending stuff to this place. Let's just go. And, well, she did. She just should have brought more people with her.
Yep, a single freighter and like 6 X-wings.
Yeah.
well, but do you know what though, Owen? That's typical Rebel form. I mean, normally Rebel hits are one one support ship in a squadron of fighters, which, and actually 6 X-wings or whatever they send. I think it's actually probably more than they normally would send.
Well, sure, but they're not the rebels anymore. They're the Republic. They've got resources. They've got a fleet.
And
Like, plus you don't know what you're walking into. You're walking into something that they needed. Was it 7 hyperdrives from Super Star Destroyers for? Like, whatever that is not small. So, but you had that, and one of the other big ones, and I heard this one I think from the Drinker, was that essentially since all of our main characters, I think aside from Ray Stevenson's character, all the main characters are women. And this being Disney in the modern age, like their big problem is they're all in constant girl boss mode and can't have flaws, can't fail at things, except for very minor things that we all could have predicted they were going to fail at, like trying to move the cup. In this episode, we saw some pretty epic failure. Like Sabine is now a prisoner of some kind, possibly going to be tempted to the dark side or whatever on earth Ray Stevenson's got going on. And which, if this show really had guts, that's what would happen. He'd be like, I'll teach you how to use the Force and succeed at doing it. And also, Ahsoka is apparently either dead or trapped in the space between times or some baloney like that.
with weirdly de-aged Hayden Christensen.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure that one is going to be totally turned around into a victory somehow. But for the moment, definitely a failure.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure that out because I'm obviously they got Hayden Christensen to reprise his role, but whatever they did to his face, like if they tried to de-age him, it
Well, what's really worse is in Obi-Wan the
yeah,
flashback scene, they didn't de-age either of them for that scene.
and they look fine. I mean,
Yeah, I
Anakin.
mean Anakin looked a little bit older, but like they like no, we're not going to use the de-aging stuff on him. And here he's playing a version of himself at least 3 years older because that was I think pre-Clone Wars versus somewhere in Revenge of the Sith, basically. So he's playing an older version, and here they decided to de-age him. I think, based on the way it
Yeah,
looks.
and I don't know if it's just the way maybe the background was, but something about his face just looked off, and I'm like,
Uncanny.
Yeah, let's hope it's just the lighting for that scene and not de-aging, and that he looks fine in the others. Let's cross our fingers on that one.
I mean, at least give them some credit for going into the realm of just weird whatever, and also like I said, bringing stuff into Rebels. I mean, the problem is with fans is like damned if you do, damned if you don't. On some shows, people are like, why didn't you go to all the source material that's out there? And then when they go to the source material, people are like, why the hell did you go to something that we have to be able to read to understand what's going on?
Well, see, the trick is you don't listen to those people.
And the
They're lazy.
and the problem though is with that is I didn't watch all of Rebels, and I can tell you I can follow along pretty much what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not like it's. I mean, again, that's like going to watch A New Hope and be like, well, I don't know who any of these characters are.
The Clone Wars, what the hell's that? I'm out. Just walk out.
It's.
Why does the Spy Trainer hate droids so much?
I mean, they have tropes in these shows and movies for a reason. Yes, the bad people wear black. Okay, we know who the bad people are.
Conversely, they also wore white. Stormtrooper armor.
Yes,
Throwing that out there. But yeah.
true. Well, I mean, in this show,
And Luke wore black in Return of the Jedi.
Though I could see that both, like everybody's colors were just completely drab.
That's subverting expectations, Rian Johnson. Learn it.
Because
stupid bastard.
Because unless Sabine's armor had changed, I thought her armor was very brightly colored in the show.
Yeah, I thought it was. It's a purple or fuchsia or something. It's definitely a lot more subdued here.
Yeah, well, everybody's colors are. I mean, it's just like they, just like go waller in the mud for a little bit and then get on camera and be all right.
There was something unexpected in the episode.
What's that?
Ahsoka actually smiled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to get back to, the fact that she's, that was the one thing that she always was known for is kind of the, even when things were dark, I mean, she came back and she still had, well, obviously right before Order 66 happened, she was, still okay about things.
Yeah, things probably got a little dark right there. I was glad to see that Balon didn't both figuratively and literally pick up or drop the idiot ball and was like, well, we're done with this thing. Just destroyed the map. Like, ain't nobody following us. And it's like, here's an intelligent villain. Like, you don't just leave the map behind. No. You destroy it. Don't take it with you. Just destroy it.
Yeah, there's no point in having it at that point.
Yep.
And still the better map than the stupid dagger. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
But is it better than the map to Luke Skywalker?
That. And what is it with everybody having to have maps to everything?
Okay, so one of the forums I go to, someone actually hypothesized an answer to your question because there's a discussion on Ahsoka that's about 11 pages long. That's mostly bitching about the Clone Wars at this point. But no, I have no idea how it got there, but that's where it is. So in Star Wars, all the big technology is literally big. Like you can't just steal the Death Star. You can't steal Luke. So what are the people after? What's the MacGuffin have to be? Since it can't be the object itself, it has to be the way to get to the object. Or something about the object.
Well, and I mean, I get that.
But to your point, yes, it's an over-reliance on maps.
Well, it is an entire galaxy, too, and multiple galaxies upon that. So I get that maps are important. But, the map to Luke never made sense because who the hell just goes, well, I'm going to leave this map over here so that if somebody wants to try to find me. Thrawn's map made a little bit of sense because they're like, well, it's not actually a map to Thrawn. It's a map to...
Right, it's a map to where we believe he is because it's a map to these things, and he left with those things.
Yeah, so it makes sense because it's a map for something else that just happens to be the same direction he went.
Right.
So I'm okay with that one. But no, the dagger was the stupidest thing, and I whoever thought of that should be taken at him and like, dude,
should have the dagger used on them.
Do you not realize how? Because it's not even like there was like a marker on the ground that she had to stand on. It's just like she just stood anywhere and held it up. Oh, and then what happens when weathering happens? Or what about if
that's space super metal, Jim? That shit'll be there for 1,000 years from now. Someone else is going to find that dagger and go there, and they're going to be disappointed the Sith Wayfinder isn't there.
Well, what about scavengers that start going and taking like parts off the Death Star and
those.
Wait, but isn't Rey one?
It's like how the good point, Owen. That's like how the Star Forge just was there for 5,000 years, or maybe it was even longer than that. And like the maps lead you right to it. Like there comes a point where eventually, like the maps shouldn't work because there is galactic shift and things. Yet somehow it does leads you right to it, and no one has done anything with it. Like it's just sitting there. This piece of Rakatan technology that clearly was built to last. Like you could just scrap that thing and be like, this metal is indestructible, folks. Like it's been sitting here in space for thousands of years and nothing has happened to it. Although there's not a whole lot of reactive stuff in space, admittedly, but you know what I mean.
All right.
But no, one of the other complaints about Episode 3 that I think they kind of got around to maybe kind of addressing here during the starfighter battle. Like, did you get any sense of tension at all in the third episode? Because like the fighters are just hammering away at them, and eventually they're like, "We have no shields," and still nothing is happening whenever they're being shot. And it's like, and they're all just like, "Well, we'll fix it. Hang on a minute." It's like, you should be like terrified. And the person who was talking about this is like, contrast this to A New Hope, whenever they're blasting at Mos Eisley. It's just the characters in the cockpit basically yelling at each other. Like, you get the tension that like, we have to leave now. The Empire is coming. We've got to go. Luke, shut up. I've got to do the hyperspace thing. Because if I get this wrong, we're all dead. Meanwhile, it's like, I'll just go out into space and fight them off.
Well, for them it is like dusting crops, boy.
Yeah, and so, then Ahsoka, in the span of 5 seconds, dons a spacesuit and goes outside and fights them.
Yeah.
And the fighters that are in space, fighting against the ship that's now stalled, could just,
shoot the ship.
Or just stop.
Yeah.
And then shoot them. Like, they don't have to get anywhere near, like, you have all of space. Just as long as you don't get within 3 feet of this person with the melee weapon, you're fine. And you're just like, I'm going in on a strafing ground, guys.
They're standing
Watch
on the.
this.
They're standing on the. She's standing on the top of the ship.
Shoot the bottom.
Shoot the bottom.
Yeah, or anything. And then when the ship does get hit, like there's no scorch marks. There's no signs of it being hit. It's just there's no tension at all in that scene.
Well, it's because all the main characters are on it.
I know.
It's plot armor.
I know.
The best kind of armor.
Like, I get it. I get the Family Guy. Look, kid, 4 of the 5 main characters are on the ship here. I think we'll be all right. Like, I get it. But it's like watching a superhero movie. The hero is probably going to win, unless you're watching one of the weird subversive ones, or like Infinity War. So you're presumably not everyone's going to get dusted. But there's ways to make that little voice in the back of your head shut up.
Yeah, you
present stakes and tension to make you think that maybe they won't. Or maybe there'll be some other cost to the victory or something.
They could have done the same kind of thing, and I don't think she could have been out on the ship if the ship was moving, though. Even with magnetic boots, I don't think it would have done any good. But they wanted a cool scene, not thinking that, hey, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem, And like I said, there's no tension. Plus,
well,
just the ever so stupid. Oh, they're not on our sensors. And I'm like, because they're like inside your ship essentially, which means there's no sensors inside that ring, which is dumb.
Well, yeah, and especially if it's meant to dock with another ship to bring it back.
Which we assume is going to happen. I'm assuming it's the Chimera, but we'll see.
That they would have to have a sensor to know when there's a ship in there docked. But no, so you had that scene from the third episode with her on the hull of the ship, which was kind of dumb. And then in the fourth one, you had another dumb scene where she obviously sensed that there was people out around the ship, and she just goes inside.
Yeah,
for no reason at all.
And doesn't really warn the droid. He's watch yourself. It's like, well, you're in enemy territory. Of course you can watch yourself. Like, but it should have been more specific. Like, come inside with me. We're about to be attacked. Or something. But that even goes back to, why does she have this particular droid with her? She keeps putting him in danger. He's got vast knowledge on how to train the Jedi. And she's just like, yeah, well, if he gets destroyed, he gets destroyed. Let's get another one.
And then they had the opportunity to have him kind of be a kind of a badass character for a moment, to say, hey, I'm used to training younglings. I mean,
have him whip out a lightsaber and go to town on one of them.
Yeah, or just
that's what I was expecting to happen.
Or just something that shows that, hey, he has some combat skills that he, not anything on par with a Jedi Master, even a Jedi Knight, but
or even a General Grievous.
But like a Padawan, and a Padawan, I mean, for the most part, is fairly competent with a lightsaber. So having anybody that's
as we got to see.
So, anyways, I think we're gonna have this again longer than the actual episode was.
Oh, probably. But yeah, I'm gonna be very brief here. So that was, I think, this episode. I got the sense of danger. Like I was like, well, Sabine, maybe she is actually going to get killed here, because this other Padawan should be able to annihilate her the moment she realizes she has no force powers, which is basically what happened. And then, although she pulled out the old ninja smoke bomb technique, then against Ray Stevenson, like I commented to you, well, this guy was around during the Clone Wars. This can be a cakewalk for him. Ahsoka's not even fully trained, was dead for a while, has been doing God only knows what. Meanwhile, this guy was probably a master during the Clone Wars, and has obviously been training in a Padawan. So he's continuing experience here. He's going to win this fight.
Well, he could have also just been a Jedi Knight too.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Like I said, I don't know his exact age. I'm extrapolating here on the whole Master Knight thing, but I'm just saying, I've got the feeling his experience was probably greater. And so that's why I was convinced he was going to win the fight. It's just I expected Ahsoka to be hanging on the cliff or something, and not oh no, he totally killed her. Okay,
Well, we don't know that she's dead yet,
or whatever's going on. If it's like a fever dream because she hit her head on a rock or twisted a tentacle the wrong way or something. I mean, swallowed a magic mushroom on the way down.
Well,
I don't know.
And see, and I don't know the Togrutas. I don't know what they're because the Twi'leks have brain matter in their Lekus, their head tentacles. I don't know if the Togrutas have the same thing. I'm not joking. They have brain material.
No, I believe you. I'm just trying to figure out why they aren't, smarter then, because they're kind of dumb. But okay.
I mean,
well, no, they're most of them are kind of assholes. Is what the problem is with Twi'leks. They're very opportunistic. Let's just say.
Yeah. No, I know.
I mean, Ahsoka probably didn't help herself by deciding to fight with only one lightsaber instead of, two like she usually does.
I took that as there could be a deal where she could possibly have recognized whatever technique he was going to use and realized that two lightsabers weren't going to help her or were potentially going to be a hindrance. Because if I've learned anything at all from the numerous Dritz books that I have read, assuming Salvatore isn't lying to me on this one, it's actually very difficult to fight with two weapons, especially if they're the same length. You almost always use a shorter one in your offhand. And I believe hers is the same length.
No, she has one that's shorter. One of them's shorter than the other one.
Okay, well, still, the point remains: fighting with two of them is significantly more complicated, and against a probably more experienced opponent, that's not the time to be showing off.
She also doesn't use her. She doesn't use the lightsaber back technique anymore. She always now holds it.
Well, that's not to put down Rosario Dawson, but that's probably a lack of skill on the part of the actress, because these are people that are clearly not trained to fight at all.
No, the
not quite as bad as Iron Fist, but but yeah, that's my take on all of it. I'm still hopeful for how it turns out. I have my criticisms.
Well, hey, we got enough episodes for at least Thrawn to.
Hopefully, Thrawn does more than like speechify. Like I hope it's literally like we show up in the other galaxy and like, well, this is a nice place. Let's go. Instead of like, no, let's explore.
Yeah.
Like for the overall franchise, that would be ideal. So they have a whole other galaxy. They can just avoid all the screw ups they've made over here. Just avoid the sequel trilogy altogether. Just like, we're going over here now, guys.
Yeah, if that's where they're all at during the sequel trilogy, then it would explain why they weren't there.
Right, but for the purposes of this narrative, they have to go back. Like they've got to go back. Thrawn's got to attempt to reunite the Empire, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen there.
Maybe he actually does it and just ends up ruling.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Anyways, so we were attempting to try to keep this shorter than the actual episode, but again, I think we
failed.
Well, the episodes keep getting shorter, and we keep having more to say. Like this paradigm is never going to work.
I know.
Although I saw an article that referenced the runtime of the fifth one as quote epic, so I'm assuming that's longer and not shorter, but could be shorter.
25 minutes.
It's a 20-minute episode.
Well, hell, if it's just the episode of them going through hyperspace.
Yeah.
But that's my big worry, is that the next one will be just them in hyperspace, and that's it. And then it'll end with them coming out and finding.
Oh
Thrawn
yeah,
ship.
no, it's gonna be the next episode. They're gonna be in hyperspace. It'll end with them coming out. They'll spend the next episode trying to find Thrawn, because he's not just gonna be like standing there with a sign like "Here I am," you know. Depending on what he's got with him, or like they'll find the Chimera all battered and no one on board. Like, oh, he's down on the planet somewhere. Oh, there's no life on the planet. Where is he? And then the last episode will find him and be like, yeah, guys, it's here the whole time. Like, what the hell take you so long?
And
Didn't Palladian say you guys? Like, come on.
insane.
Yeah. And now back. So I can become the heir to the Empire. Like, oh, he said the thing too. All right.
I will be the last command.
Yeah, I'll give the last command before my bodyguard kills me.
All right. Owen, any final thoughts before we?
Oh, hold on.
Gosh.
Sorry. Maybe that's where his Nogri bodyguard will come from. Be from the other galaxy. Because I don't think they were in Rebels, were they?
I don't know.
I don't think they were. So, and there's a thought. Anyway, final thought.
All right. Owen, any thoughts?
I hope we see Thrawn not in the last episode.
Yeah, we don't need it to. We don't need to. Stay tuned for season 2 of Ahsoka, and then that never happens. Because I think I don't know. I don't know where the Star Wars shows are going to go after this point.
We'll always have the Thrawn trilogy in our hearts.
Yes.
And the duology that followed it up.
Yep.
And the prequel books.
And TIE Fighter.
The TIE Fighter.
And the TIE Fighter the game, not just a TIE Fighter.
Yeah, well, I'd go for a TIE Fighter.
We do have TIE Defenders thanks to him. So
I mean, there was the TIE Fighter tie-in novel.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this concludes our discussion on Ahsoka Episode 4. Yep. Do the normal, YouTube stuff or podcast stuff, depending on what you're listening to us on. The, likes, comments, shares, subscribes.
All those things.
Yes, let us know what you think. Even if it's a criticism. I mean, obviously, I'm going back and thinking, man, I did not mean to bash the New Ho by any means. And if you want to, tear into me a little bit on that, that's fine. I didn't mean to. I was trying to think of the words, and I'm not always so graceful.
That's all right, Jim. That hot take's going to rocket this video to the top. Man on YouTube says A New Hope sucks. Like that's like 10,000 views right there.
But I never said it sucked. I said it
That doesn't
follows.
matter. That's how it's going to be reported on like Yahoo News or something. Probably 5 people still use that to read it.
I say somewhere I still have my original like recorded copy of A New Hope. That was recorded off TV.
I think Attack of the Clones is better than The Force Awakens.
You're probably right, but I don't know.
Attack of the Clones is one of the few that I can go back and watch again. So. Anyways, we're going to conclude this meeting of the Geek Cabal and see you on, I guess, episode 5 when it comes out.
And in the meantime, may the Force be with you.
Always.